Hi, a very good evening to you all. Today I'm back with one topic, and that is project management. We are going to learn what is project management and what are the key and important points that must be taken into consideration while trying to integrate project management in our system. So let's see how it goes. Do subscribe to our channel and click on bell button to get regular updates. Thanks for watching. So today we are going to understand what is project management, and we will also understand how we apply this project management concept in translation management. In first part we are dealing with the basics of project management, and in second part we will deploy that into translation business and translation activity. So what is project management? This is something to deal with converting a vision, a dream to a need of reality. Means if you have any idea and you plan to execute that idea, you create a framework. That means it has a beginning and it has an end. That means it has some scope of work and it has some level of performance and quality, and certainly it involves cost. Okay, so now we see this time, cost and scope, and in all these activities one thing that comes into picture is quality. That is the prime factor. So project can be of two characters. One is temporary, which has a starting and finishing point, and another is unique. In every project is different. So when we talk of project management, it is the technique of understanding the problems, needs, and controlling the use of resources, cost, time, scope, and quality. Means when you manage resources, when you manage cost, when you manage time, when you define a scope, and for doing all these activity, when there is quality control in place, this is what is called management. And how it becomes project management? Because in project management you apply certain knowledge, skills, tools and techniques in order to execute those projects and meet the order of stakeholders. So in order to manage activities, you apply certain specific knowledge and skills and tools and techniques that comes into project management. So what is need? Need is to start a project. Expectation is to understand each and every part and effectively execute them in order to meet certain tasks through quality management. So why companies use project management? Companies use project management for many activities, but primarily they want to bring effectiveness in the organization. They want to define what the project is and what they are agreeing with the customer. They have to access the resources for which they are planning to execute the project or whatever project they have taken. They have to estimate a cost and make proposals accordingly. They also have to estimate the schedule, that means the plan. They have to plan how and when it is going to be delivered. They have to allocate certain resources for delivery of the work in time. That is called locating the right resources. They need to have access and understanding of risks and failure involved. If they are able to cover those risks and failures, it is always good to go ahead. Otherwise, they need to create a backup plan. And at the last, that is also equally important, that is to maintain communication with the team, and not communication, in a haphazard manner, but in a planned way. So the idea is to maintain communication channel. There are certain, keywords that always comes into picture, and those keywords are why. Why you are doing a project? Why and what means why you are doing, and what is management planning, what is the success criteria, and what is to be agreed for a project. Means if somebody is paying you for something, they expect you to do something, that must be defined. It can't be open end. Therefore, once this definition has been done, between the person who is doing the project and the person who is sponsoring the project, you have to define who is going to do it. You also have to define when it is going to happen, and you also have to define how you are going to make it. And while making all these activities, how much it is going to cost. So once these basic infrastructure or framework of any project is in place, we can call it a blueprint. We are ready to go. But it is not as simple as it appears. We just plan and everything is done smoothly. It is not that easy. Millions of dollars get lost because of mismanagement of projects. Therefore, project management is very, very important, not only for doing projects in business. When I say business, means other activities, including factory making, including infrastructure development, road development, bridge development, metro development. Everywhere project management comes in. But they also have equally challenging points. So for example, I have defined certain key challenging current points, and the first one comes is inaccurate definition of project. Many times people tell you, we have a project, do you want to do it? And unfortunately, many times we also say, yes, we will do it, and we never know what we have to do. And all those points are discovered once we start doing the project. So for example, if we had planned it in a proper way, if a project was costing, let's say $50,000, and if we don't plan it, we simply start it, we come to know that the cost of project has doubled. It has gone to $100,000. So those who have good purchasing power, they do have capacity to extend their budget from $50,000 to $100,000, and they may like to pay for the person who is doing it. But that can happen only when they are doing it under their own direct supervision. But if a person who is taking up a contract for doing this work, there will be again a kind of, after a certain phase, when the new demands, unexpected demands will start coming into project, the contractor will run into trouble. Thus, what will happen? People will panic. So this panicking activity that takes place has to be avoided. And that is avoided when we have made a detailed plan of scope or the basics of the projects. Therefore, Apart from inaccurate definition, we have certain points like scope not tightly controlled, leading to return of investment goals unmet, means we are not able to execute it. There is a lack of visibility about resources and demands of resources. We are not able to understand what is inability to review existing projects against changing priorities. There are many times when you are doing the project, suddenly a priority changes for the client and the person runs into trouble. Similarly, time factor is very important. Similarly, project procurement of the things that we want to have for the project has to be visualized. There is a lack of communication between the stakeholders while doing the project management. There is lack of understanding of quality assurance. So there is always poor documentation, and this results in big trouble. So in brief, whatever points that I have just given you in my previous slides, there are 4 points that must come into picture. After you enter into the phase, you initiate the process. Once the process is initiated, you plan. Once you plan, you execute. Once the execution is done, you close. So these 4 points plus entry and exit. And in above all, there is a monitoring and controlling of the processes. So the terms that we must understand is entry, initiating, executing. Not executing first. I repeat, entry, initiating, planning, executing, closing, and before closing, above and all, monitoring and controlling of all the processes. And at the last, once everything closes, you exit the project, means you close the project. So now, when we are talking about planning, the most important phase of planning is one needs to plan in such a way that you define each and every aspect of your project, because that planning part is important for not only your budgeting of the project, time management, resource management, quality management, but you also have to take into consideration the other finer aspects of delivery, who is delivering, who is collecting, and who is at the time of getting those deliveries, who is going to check everything has been met or not, if there is any issue, who is going to control it, who is going to give a feedback, how that feedback will be implemented, etc., etc. These all come under planning. So after this planning is done, we enter into scheduling. Scheduling means phases of development, phases of delivery, phases of quality control, phases of feedback mechanism, phases of payment. So scheduling of phases of every work is important, and scheduling has to be done in such a way that you decide upon not unilaterally those scheduling, but in consultation with the client as well as the person who is doing the work. Unilateral scheduling may create a big problem for execution. So once scheduling has been done, we need to control. Control means all these scheduling times, planning, etc., are not always 100% fixed. They all have certain open ends. They are all indicative, but people try to be as precise as possible. So for achieving those precisions, there has to have a control mechanism, so that if someone is lacking behind, he can be helped to boost up, or he can be pressurized to speed up. Because if one scheduling has delayed, it can delay the whole process of project management. So therefore, a person monitoring and controlling is very important, not only from the client angle, but also from the angle of the people who are executing the project. So once the controlling is done and everything it goes smooth, things start into delivery mode. Once the delivery occurs, you close the project. When I say you close the project, means you deliver the work in time as per schedule. If there is a gap in schedules, you consult with the client. If there is any penalty involved in delaying your project, client will be informed, you will also be informed, and once the work has been done, you raise the invoice and you are paid as per the time given. Even release of payment comes under scheduling, and it all comes under planning. Many times people believe that once the project is done, project is closed. Closing doesn't happen unless and until you have received the payment. And it is always good to remain in good relations with the client and clearly define the payment terms. How many number of days? 10 days, 15 days, 1 month. Generally in India or globally, 1 month's time of payment is accepted standards. Many places it may get extended to 60 days, and many places it may get even extended to 90 days. So depending upon your comfort level, you may agree or you may not agree. There are companies who work at even on 6 months basis, because they do tell you that it is 90 days payment terms, but they extend it to 60 days. 6 months. So you have to be clearly, understanding where you stand, and depending upon whether you are in a position to accept that time scheduling as well as pressure and work on credit for 60 days, 90 days or 180 days. This all depends on your comfort as well as credibility of the client. There are very good clients, including the government ones. Many times you have to forget that you will receive a payment. Once the closing of account comes, payment will come to you. It may take 1 year. There has been time when I have received payment after 1 year. But if you keep on getting panic and keep on, writing a mail or a message to your client because deadline of payment has gone crossed, you have to balance it, because getting payment in your account is one of the toughest tasks, at least in Indian countries. So, apart from whatever I have explained it to you, one of the most important point that comes into picture for the project management is project cost management, quality management, human resource management, communication management, risk management. You have to cover the risk. If you can't cover the risk and you are taking a project, you are at the mercy of the client. So procurement management, and if there is a sudden change, management changes, big changes takes place at your end, somebody in family dies, there is a marriage, sudden exigencies, you have to be prepared for all these changes. And in all and above and all must be documented. So the moment you have documented everything, you will have the opportunity to go through all your documents clearly and understand where you stand, and at the same time it will also help you in quality management and continuous improvement for betterment in your projects. So apart from whatever I have explained above in the point, how we implement all these activities into our system. For implementing, there is another term that is called project integration management. Means you have to introduce these points into your system, then only you will be in a position to move and bring project management into your system and make it smoother. And for that, the most important part that I had talked in the last was documentation. And in that documentation, and that is more important, is you need to have a project charter. Charter means broad outline of your project management. What is the purpose? What is the scope? How you are going to do? Who is going to do? how much time it will take. All these points come into this chart. Then accordingly you have to plan, project management plan. Once you plan, you execute. How you execute? You do work. And how it is done work? You do it by controlling your project flow. And if needed, you need to integrate changes. And all these things and synchronize, you get a good project, smooth landing of your project. So this is how we introduce ourselves into a project management setup and system. So before now I move into applying all these concepts that we have learned into translation management or execution of a translation project, I would like to close it for 5 minutes and then move on to the next level and make it more conducive to our learning of project management and applying into translation setup. Okay, so if you have any questions, any doubts, please welcome.